And we can now talk from Geneva to the US pollster and political advisor Gerry Gunster, who met President-elect Donald Trump over the weekend with Nigel Farage. Thanks very much indeed for being with us. Just tell us a bit about that meeting, actually, because it's obviously been in all the newspapers here, and people are saying Nigel Farage stole a march on the British government and the British Prime Minister. What was that meeting like?
Oh, it was a great meeting. I mean, we had an opportunity to spend some time with President-elect Trump. It was a very casual, very relaxed meeting that we had with him. And I think the President-elect is aware and ready to take on the responsibilities of being the President of the United States. One of the things that I noticed while spending some time in the Trump Tower and spending some time with President-elect is that this is a group of people that have moved on from the election. They are no longer reflecting on exactly how they win or why they won, although there's some relevance for the future for them. But right now, they've got 4,000 positions that they need to fill between now and the inauguration, which is coming up in January. So it was an excellent meeting, and learned a lot from him in that day.
And just in terms of Nigel Farage, some people have said maybe he should be a kind of go-between between the British government and Mr. Trump. But Downing Street have said today there's no room for a third force in the relationship between the two countries. Where do you see Mr. Farage fitting in, if anywhere?
Well, I think Nigel Farage has a very important role to play here. I saw the greeting that President-elect gave to Nigel Farage when he entered the room. These two are friends. I think that Downing Street and others that may have underestimated that President-elect Trump was going to win actually could have a lot to learn and a lot of intelligence to gather from Nigel Farage.
And what about Mr. Trump's relationship with Britain? Obviously, there's a lot of talk about what Mr. Obama said about we'd be at the back of the queue in terms of a trade relationship post-Brexit. Does the fact that Mr. Farage and Mr. Trump get on so well, does that mean maybe we're nearer the front of the queue? How do you see it?
Well, I mean, look, to be clear, I'm not in any official capacity with the Trump transition team, but again, I attended that meeting on Saturday afternoon, and there's clearly a very good relationship between these two men. I mean, if you think about what these two gentlemen have accomplished in the course of 6 months, it is historical. You're sitting here with Nigel Farage, the man who changed the way that people look at the EU and successfully brought about Brexit, sitting with the President of the United States to be, who most people didn't think was going to win. They have an unbelievable amount in common.
And you worked on the Leave EU campaign, the Brexit campaign, if you like. Do you see similarities between these two political earthquakes that so few people saw coming?
Yes, there is. And there's one similarity that, a lot of people have looked at the data and they say, we've got to throw all this out. All the polling didn't work. But having somebody who does a lot of campaigns for a living, there's two numbers, one number that everybody should have paid attention to. One is that in all the research we did with the Brexit campaign, people thought, 60% of them, thought that the country was headed in the wrong direction. In the United States, that number was right about the same. 60% of Americans thought the country was headed in the wrong direction. Now, those are two numbers. There's the same number in two different countries that tell you that change is going to happen, and it did. And that is the big similarity that I saw between the two campaigns.
Really good to talk to you. Thank you so much for sharing your views with us. That's Gerry Gunster there, talking to us from Geneva. Thank you.